Here's the one thing you need to know about B2B marketing. The more demos that you're on, the more sales calls that you're doing, the more successful you're going to be. Not because you're just going to book more revenues, that's obvious. But here's the thing that I've learned from coaching founders. The more calls they get on, the more qualified demos that they do, the more they're able to learn about their ideal customers. They're able to hear how they describe their problems, what their objections are. And when you get on these sales calls, when you do more demos a week, you are going to be able to iterate on your product that much faster, iterate on your messaging that much faster, address the objections that much faster, and of course, you're gonna close more deals. Here's the big question though. How do you build out a go-to-market strategy, a proper B2B marketing strategy that drives more qualified demos? In this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 5 steps that you absolutely need to know and follow to be able to build out your B2B marketing strategy and book more demos. And that way you're able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Now, the way I know these 5 steps is because I've started, scaled, and exited multiple software companies. And I've coached hundreds of founders that have followed these battle-hardened principles. So I'm gonna walk you through each of those steps. And by the end of this video, you're gonna have a revamped marketing strategy that books more demos. And by the way, all these principles that I'm sharing with you are covered in depth in my 5-point AI and SaaS growth strategy guide. So if you want a copy of that, just comment, give me the guide below, or just guide. We'll be smart enough to figure it out, and we'll send you the link right away. Now let's go to step number 1 in this entire process. We're gonna actually work backwards from the actual demo all the way back to how to get the demos. Step number 1 that founders often make a mistake around, and marketers too, is they don't know whether to call it a book a demo or something else. And this really depends on your ideal customer profile. Some ideal customers actually want to just book a demo, and they just want a demo. That may be the target market you're going after. Other types of companies that are selling to certain types of customers, they actually don't want to talk to sales. They don't want to book a demo. However, they are confused. They don't know which vendor to go with. They're researching, and they would book a strategy session. And so this is one of the first decisions you have to make on, are you actually selling a demo where they literally get on and do a demo, or are you just gonna be upfront and say, hey, look, we're gonna do a strategy session to understand the challenges that you're facing and see if we're a good fit. You want to test both of these and see which one converts better, specifically to your ICP, your ideal customer profile, the target market that you're going after. This is one of the most important decisions, and a lot of people skip over this, which is why I wanted to introduce it as step number 1. Now, once you have decided, okay, it's gonna be a demo booking form, or a strategy session booking form, or a consultation form, the second thing that you wanna do, and this is a mistake that I see founders and marketers both make, is they don't create a high converting page. You wanna actually build out a high converting booking page. There's a few key things that you wanna include in this page. The first thing is your value proposition. At the end of the day, they're committing to giving you 30 minutes of their time. So you really gotta sell them on it. So you really wanna highlight, hey, if you book this meeting with us, here's what you're going to get. You might get a demo of the product. You might get our best practices on how to solve the problem that you're looking to solve. You might get an in-depth overview of the success stories we have with our customers. And we'll walk you through exactly what they did that are just like you. You wanna actually highlight exactly what they're going to get by booking the time. Which brings me to the second piece of this. You actually don't want a simple form. You wanna include a calendar booking widget. This is one of the things that I see a lot of software companies do even today. They say, hey, fill out your email and contact info and we'll get back to you. That's a lost opportunity, because here's the thing. They just decided to go to this page from doing a bunch of different things, and we'll be talking about that in the subsequent steps. Now, in this very moment, you have them. You have their attention. They're leaning in. If you're just filling out an email and then you have to get back to them and then you have to find a time, chances are you're really not going to convert as many as you can, versus just telling them, hey, pick a time that works for you. My favorite tool for this is Calendly. We always embed the Calendly right into that page next to the value proposition. That way they can see exactly what they're going to get in the call. And on the right side of it, they can actually see how to book the time on the calendar. The third piece around this is, remember, we don't want just any meetings. We want actual ICP meetings. We want quality meetings. So in that booking form, and Calendly does this really well, you can actually ask specific ICP questions. These questions are designed for you to understand if the person booking the call is actually in your ideal customer profile. If they're not, well, you'll want to handle them in a certain way. I'll cover that in a subsequent step. But this way you'll know if the time booked on your calendar is going to be worthwhile for both people involved. If it's a random person and they're just filling out forms, and believe me, there's lots of people on the internet that just loves to fill out forms, you'll know right away based on these questions. These specific questions will vary depending on who your ideal customer profile is and what you're selling, but some of the common ones that I see is to include the title, their business website, and some metric of what stage they are in terms of their business. So for example, if you're only selling to enterprise companies, you may want to ask how many employees they have. If your ideal customer needs to be at a certain maturity level in terms of their support operations, for example, then you may want to ask how many tickets that they process on a monthly basis. This is one of the things we did for one of our clients recently. So you want to always make sure that you highlight exactly what the questions are so that you can evaluate whether it's an ICP meeting or not. These are the three key components that go into your high converting booking page. The value prop, an actual Calendly widget, or whatever tool you want to use. I like Calendly the best, even though there are other ones that are free, and also qualifying questions so that you can figure out, is this an ICP meeting or not? Once you've done that, now you've got the name of the thing. Is it a demo, or talk to sales, or book a consultation, or book a strategy session? And you also have a high converting page. Then it's, okay, TK, I have this amazing page. How do I get people to discover it? This is where step number 3 comes in. Now, for step number 3, this is where your marketing strategy really comes in. Now, there's 2 decisions you have to make. And in order to make this decision, you have to understand how a marketing funnel works. At any given moment, there's only 5 to 10% of the market that are actively buying. These are people that have decided, I have a problem and I want to solve it, and they're actively looking at buying a product. The easiest way to get these people is to invest in Google Ads. You invest in Google Ads or SEO or AEO, and you bid on the high intent purchase keywords. These are people that have already decided they have the problem, they want a solution, they maybe have researched solutions, and they're now like, hey, I want to buy, so they're searching for it. You can bid on those keywords and start converting those deals right away into actual demos and revenues. There are some caveats to only focusing on this. The biggest one being these people may have already made up their minds, meaning they may already have a trusted vendor. Now they're just doing their due diligence. We call these tire kickers. They already know who they're going to buy from, but just to be on the safe side, they're looking at 2 or 3 other vendors and they're going to book a time with you, and then they're not going to buy. So there's some pros and cons to this, but this is the quickest way to get demos flowing. Just invest in Google Ads because you know they're in market. They're searching for a very specific keyword that signals that they're ready to buy. Now you might say, TK, Google Ads are $1,000 a click. How do I actually get customers? How do I get people that are 90% of the market, meaning they're not in the 10% that are actively buying? This is where you go a little bit up on your B2B marketing funnel. This is the middle of the funnel that we look at, which is people that are aware of the problem. They're problem aware. Now, these people may be searching for things on Google, but the math will never add up on you trying to target those keywords and actually pay for them. You could do SEO, but it takes a long time to actually place for those keywords. If you can do them, you should absolutely invest in it, but there's a faster way. If you know your ideal customer, the fastest way to target these problem-aware people is on organic social and paid social. You can go on Facebook, you can go on Instagram, you can go on LinkedIn. At the end of the day, people are going in between meetings, they're going on their mobile phones, and they're scrolling. And on their feeds, you can show up highlighting the problem that you solve. And from there, you can drive them either to an educational piece of content like a lead magnet or directly to your demo booking form. This is where I love doing marketing because this is the segment of the market where they haven't been influenced yet. If you target your ideal customers in this middle of the funnel and you start to educate them with your content and you get them on a call, and even if they're not ready to buy right now, you book a follow-up call, by the time they move to the buying phase, they're going to be more likely to buy from you. This is why just investing in Google Ads to get the people that are buying right now doesn't work very well because other vendors have already influenced their buying behavior, their decision-making process. They've already armed them with content and they're likely just doing some due diligence right now. This is why targeting the middle of the funnel, people that are problem aware but haven't chosen a solution yet, using organic and paid social is my most favorite way to actually get attention and convert it to building trust through my calls or my strategy sessions or my content. Now, at this point, what you've done is you've created a high converting page. You've called it a thing. It's a strategy session or a demo or a consultation. You've started to post organic content and you've gotten some content that's actually generating demos. So you can convert those to paid ads and you start to get inbound lead machine. Well, you can also start to invest in Google Ads at this point, and you can get the people that are in market and try to win some of them as well. Now comes the fun part. Now you're actually getting on more demos. Your calendar is filled and you're trying to figure out, how do I actually win these deals? Believe it or not, there's some marketing involved over here as well. Before I go into that, let me pause here for a second. All of these pieces that I'm explaining is part of a cohesive go-to-market strategy. This is just a part of it. These demos, how you structure these demo calls, how you do it in organic social. If you're working to figure out, how do I actually figure out my go-to-market strategy and how do I drive growth? Part of it is sales, part of it is marketing. Well, in that case, you should check out my 5-point AI and SaaS growth strategy guide. Just comment below with "give me the guide" or put "guide" in all caps. Just yell it and we'll link to it right away. All right, now let's go to step number 4. You're on these demos. Your entire week is just flooded with demos. You're getting on these calls. What do? Well, you just show them the demo, right? You show them the product. You show them the product, you show them how amazing it is, and of course, they're going to buy. Wrong. That's not how it works. The best way to structure these initial calls is by following what I call the rule of thirds. I always split up the 30 minutes that I have with a prospect into 3 core pieces. The first piece is a discovery. And this is where I ask them questions about where they are in terms of their buying journey. What is the problem that got them to book the call? Why did they take time to actually book the call with me? It took a bunch of form fields and some time out of their day to actually show up. What's going on in their world? Have they researched other things? Are they looking at other products? What's important to them? All of these things are important to ask upfront before you ever show the product. Based on the answers to these questions, then I spend a third of the time giving the actual demo. And inside of the demo, instead of just showing them my entire platform, I cater the demo to the actual answers to the questions I had earlier on. So if they said they were particularly concerned about a certain problem that I know one of my features is the best in the industry at, I always highlight that in the demo. And then after spending a third of the call on the demo, I switch over to next steps. I always say, hey, look, there's a lot more to the platform. There's a lot more to talk about. There's a lot more I can show you, but let's figure out in the sake of time what next steps are. Do we book another call? Are there other people involved in the decision-making process? Who else can we invite for the next call? How are you thinking about buying and when are you looking to make a decision? These are all next steps that drives to the next step in the process. In some companies, it can be a 1-call close. They'll buy right away. In other companies, you need 10 calls because it's an enterprise motion. But no matter how your sales cycle is and what segment of the market you're selling into, it all starts with this discovery call and the rule of thirds. So that's what you do on the actual call. Now, as you're operating all of this, the better your marketing, the better you are in targeting your organic social and your Google Ads, the more on point you are in your messaging and your follow-ups, the easier it's going to be to actually win the deals. This is one of the things that people don't talk about when it comes to a B2B marketing strategy. The better your marketing, the easier it is to sell. If you think about salespeople at really large companies like Salesforce and even IBM, they don't actually have salespeople. What they have are order takers. And the reason for that is by the time someone shows up, they're gonna buy from IBM. No one ever gets fired from buying from IBM or for Salesforce. So you gotta ask, why is that? It's because their marketing is so great. It's because their brand is so powerful. So in your case, if you're starting off and you're building out your brand and you're building out your marketing, it's still important to put a lot of effort into the content you use to actually attract these people, how you nurture these people, and even the discovery questions that you ask and the 3 or 4 slides that you show in your sales deck before you get into a demo. That's all marketing. And the better of a job that you do in your B2B marketing strategy, in your messaging, in how you communicate your value, and how you differentiate, the easier it's going to be to actually win the deal. Now, as you're going through this is where the 5th step comes in. There's some pitfalls that founders and marketers and salespeople always think about. So I wanted to make a laundry list of them and have you go through these because these are going to be important. The first one is, TK, what happens if a bunch of people not from my ICP books my calendar and now have to be on these calls? This is one of the things people don't realize. You can just cancel the meeting. If it's a terrible meeting, if they answered poorly on your questions, if it's way too small of a company, if they don't have budget, just cancel it. Just delete it from your calendar. You delete it, they'll get a notification, hey, this meeting has been canceled, and you can politely email them and say, hey, listen, I want to be respectful of your time and my time. Based on your answers, it doesn't sound like you're going to be a fit, but here's some additional resources for you, or here's some competitors that you can look at. You're better off. You're better off not to meet with a non-ICP. But if it's an ICP, you also want to make sure that they show up, because just as easily as you can cancel a meeting, they can cancel it too, which is why you also want to make sure that you send reminders. This is why I like Calendly. And by the way, this video is not sponsored by Calendly at all. I just like it. In Calendly, you can configure where they get a text message and an email reminder. So I like to set it at 3 hours before, a day before, and 3 days before if it's that far ahead. So you want to make sure you send reminders both through text and email and actually remind them like, hey, we have this meeting on the books. And the last thing that you want to do is you want to reiterate your value proposition. Because here's what happens. 10 minutes before the call, someone looks at their calendar and say, oh, I have this call. And they maybe booked it 3 days ago. And they don't quite remember, why did I book this call again? Who's this with? And they're going to look at the calendar invite. And if they don't like what they see, they're going to cancel it. Or even worse, they're just not going to show up. Meanwhile, you're just sitting on the Zoom call, waiting and waiting and waiting, which is why it's super important that when the calendar invite gets sent for your demo, you reiterate your value proposition. You highlight what they're going to get on the call, and you actually include information about your company and your website and say, hey, we're really looking forward to meeting you. This ensures that when they open up the little calendar in the beginning of their day or 5 minutes before the call, it reiterates the value of why they booked the meeting in the first place, which increases the show up rates. So this goes both ways. If a demo is from a non-ICP, you can delete it. If they look at the calendar event and they don't see the value, they will delete it, which is why you want to make sure you delete it. Don't feel bad. They would do it to you too if they didn't think it was going to be valuable. So if you don't think it's going to be valuable, you can do it. And secondly, reiterate your value so they don't delete it from their calendar. Now remember how we started. The more demos you get on, the more inbound qualified demos you have going on, the better your B2B marketing, the more successful you're going to be. Not just because you're going to close more sales, obviously that's going to happen, but the more time you spend with your ideal customers, the more you're going to hear how they describe their problem, how they talk about their objections, who the competitors are, how they're thinking about it. And you can use all that data to improve your product, to improve your marketing, to improve your sales, and actually to win more deals. So the more demos, the better. So now you know the 5 steps that I follow to build out a B2B marketing strategy, have the right demo sequence, get on the demo calls, structure them the right way, and actually win more deals. Now, if you are in this stage where you're building out your marketing strategy and your sales strategy, your go-to-market strategy to drive growth, you should absolutely grab a copy of my 5-point AI and SaaS growth strategy guide. It's completely free and it has in-depth information on how to build out your scalable go-to-market strategy so you can get more demos, you can get your messaging right, you can define your ICP, and you can actually drive more revenues. So if you want to grab a copy of it, just comment below with "Give me the guide" and we'll link you to it. Or if you want it on demand, just follow the link in the description below. We have a link in the description and you can follow to get immediate access to it right away. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. As a next step, you should also watch this video. In the case that you have some components of your go-to-market strategy and your marketing strategy and sales strategy is not quite working, you should watch this video, which outlines the exact steps to follow to fix your broken go-to-market strategy. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode in the comments below or inside of the 5-point AI SaaS growth and strategy guide. Go grab all of it. It's awesome. Take care, everybody.